Well, Sam, a big thank you for joining us. And before we get to this weekend's big playoff semi-final, just a bit of a general catch-up, really. What's the season been like for Bedford?
We've had a really good season. It's building season, obviously, because we're the newbies here. We're trying to get the girls' team up and running, and it's been so successful. Obviously, we've still got a lot of union players because of just where we are in the country, and we've been struggling a little bit with girls going off to play sevens and union club commitments and things like that. But we've started to see a real buy-in this year, probably more than last year, and we're really building something that I think has got not only longevity but is really looking at sort of moving us forward in the game. I think that the season. We've been in games. I think a little bit of our rugby IQ naivety has kind of let us down a little bit. But, as I say to the girls every week, it's a brand new sport. I've been lucky that I played rugby league for 25 years, and it becomes second nature. At the minute, we've got people that are coming to it as their first season or second season. So those little intricacies have been a little bit of our downfall in times. But we've been in every game we've played, and it's just the back end, because of the mistakes we've made at the front end of the game, has kind of let us down a little bit. But every time we're getting better and better, and the girls are learning, and we've got a real understanding of how to correct it and how to go forward, really.
And going forward, that's the key in it, and it's about that progression. Last season, it was a trip it's unknown for all the clubs, but here we are, and Bedford have gone one step better already. They're in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, when we won against Bristol in the first game at Goldington Road, which was a massive hoo-ha for us, because that's the first ever Super League game to ever be played in Bedford, at Goldington Road, which is obviously that Bedford is such a rugby community, and it's all rugby union. So to have that opportunity for the girls, and they absolutely loved it, and for us to win there. Fantastic, and it gave us a real springboard, something that we've not necessarily capitalised on probably as much as we should have done. But the thing that we really looked at is we've had big away trips to Cardiff, we've gone down to the Army, and we've fulfilled those fixtures, but not only in putting a squad out there, but actually being really competitive. And I think that's the key thing, is that this league has been pitched so well that there isn't a team there that is getting rolled 100 points every week. All these games have massive competitive elements, and I'm probably going to come off the back of this season going, actually, we've to make the playoffs was great, but we should have been third or second in that league.
With regards to that development and growing the sport more generally, I do have to mention the news about Caroline Colley, who obviously it wouldn't have happened if the Women's Super League South hadn't have happened, would it? A player there who's getting called up for England, and now you've got this loan agreement with Huddersfield to play more games. I mean, it's just phenomenal, isn't it? And the talent's there in the Southeast.
Yeah, I think the rugby talent in general is always there in this area. The fact that Kaz is an amazing athlete. She's sort of breaks the mold a little bit on the way that she does it. She's incessant. She never stops. She trains at every available opportunity, probably partly to her detriment to a certain extent. She burns herself out a little bit, but her athletic ability and her understanding of just how to beat players, it makes it. That's why she was a goalkeeper in football, a really high sort of Premiership level, and she can turn herself to any sport. And I think it's that kind of competitiveness and that sporting IQ could make anybody a really good rugby league player. And I think that what she's doing now is she's getting herself into a position of learning those little intricacies we talked about earlier on. And it's putting her on a massive stage. I think the thing that is undersold slightly is actually that the pathway for women into rugby league and into the highest level of rugby league is now, it's an opportunity. It's a lot easier at the minute to get to a level of where you can be working with the best coaches in the UK, and actually a faster pathway to things like England caps. And Kaz will end up in the World Cup squad. I have no doubt about that. And that comes from identifying a pathway and the accelerated learning procedure that there is there. The fact that we've got, saying Bedford Tigers are in affiliation with Huddersfield Giants, to me, is just a ridiculous statement. We are, and I know very well where we are in the men's game. It's not like one of our boys all of a sudden could just turn up, playing for Huddersfield in the Super League. And I think that accelerated process is going to do so much for our girls' games. We've got 4 or 5 players that I feel should be international caps in the next couple of years. We've also got Storm, who we lost to a training injury, which is a real shame. So she's missed out on half the season, but she will play for Ireland this year. Kaz will play for England this year. There are a couple more that I'm sure will be picked up as we go through. And it's having that sort of being under that microscope that we've never had that opportunity to have before is going to do us fantastically well. And we're creating a legacy now for women's sport. It's not just this year, it's not next year. And Kaz is, she's a PE teacher. So she will be spreading that word amongst her girls. I'm a PE teacher. I'm spreading that against our school sport. And moving forward, I think the accelerated opportunity for a woman or a girl or a teenager to get into rugby league and actually make a real name for themselves, the time is now.
And just a general catch up about the club more generally. I've caught with the men's team a few times, but that was before COVID. So how's the club more generally, growing the women's game, but also the men's game as well in Bedfordshire?
Yeah, we're doing really well. We focused this year a little bit more on say putting things into the ladies' game, but the men's team are still in the SCL, in the Southern Conference Premier, and doing really well. They're going to make playoffs, probably finish third. We've beaten Hammersmith Hill Hoist this season, which is again we're breaking through and beating the London teams, which is not normal for us. We're still kind of piecing things together. We've got a lot of very talented players, but again, the rugby league IQ not necessarily where it should be. But that's because we are from such a hotbed of union. We've got 3 sort of championship union sides within a sort of 15-mile radius of us. It's all unions. So we've got a very finite window. The thing that we've got as Bedford Tigers is we've still got the guys that were there at the start that are still running the club. I know very well that I'm the granddad of rugby league here, and even when I have turned out a couple of times for the first this year, I'm playing with boys that I've taught at school when they were 8 and 9, that are now sort of 20, and it's a real joy. And the thing that this club has got is it's that family environment. We know that we aren't currently of a professional sort of standard, but we are still breaking barriers. The boys again. It's even things like fulfilling fixtures at the south end of London when it's going to take you 2.5 hours to get there and back. We've got boys that are, putting their hands up and travelling from, far and wide to come and represent us. We've currently not got an academy side this year, but that's purely because of a coaching setup. We were firing more into the ladies' game than we were, but we're going to pick that up next year. We've got a new academy program running. We're looking at getting into the schools in the local area, and that's why players like Kaz, players like myself, who have got the ins in school, and it doesn't take us an awful lot to organise little tournaments and things. I know it is our work time, and actually working as teachers is a little bit more stressful than sometimes people give us credit for, I think. But we're constantly looking to grow. We are very well aware that we can't exponentially grow because it'll overstretch us, but there are lots of little things that we're starting to do and starting to put the role on that, again, we're building for another 5 years. We've been around for 15 years as Bedford Tigers now. We're looking forward to the next 15 years.
And I think you've got an A team as well, and they got through to the grand final of the East League, didn't they? So you've put it really well, Sam. Just how it's going really well at the club. Right, let's get to the semi-final this weekend. It's at Plough Lane. It's a big occasion for the London Broncos, but speaking from your point of view in your dressing room, I mean, what's the mood in the dressing room like ahead of this game? You're going to be playing in this fantastic facility. It's such a big fixture. What? Just to go back a few weeks as well. I mean, you gave London Broncos a really tough game at the start of July, didn't you? So I mean, what's your thoughts heading into this one?
It's cup final football for us, and we've gone into that actually. We had a hell of a session last night. The mood's buzzing actually at the minute. We're looking really good. We just talk about again that positivity and that improvement. And as a squad, we've gone, look, we've got a game left. We've potentially got 2 games left. We put a really good performance in, and a performance that I've sort of alluded to before, where we've kind of been there or thereabouts, but not really got it. This, I feel, is that we're in the best possible position. And the great thing is you're a big underdog. You go into that, a big underdog, London being almost basically at home with the men's team playing before, they're expecting a a bit of a fanfare, a bit of an easy walk into the playoff final. And we're glad that they're expecting that, because that's not what's going to happen. We've got a hell of a squad going in. It was a really hot training session last night. Not only the weather, but the skills were great. We've organised our game plan. We know what they're going to bring. And I think the great thing is that no one really knows what we're going to bring, because we haven't completely brought it yet. And I think Sunday is going to be our chance. And what's the worst case scenario? We've made the playoffs. If we lose, we lose, but we're going to go out, on a hell of a high anyway.
And a game live on our league. I should say, a bit of a feast on Sunday on our league. You've got York taking on Wigan in the Women's Super League Group 1. And then following that, straight after, we've got this game here, London Broncos taking on the Bedford Tigers. Cracking stuff, a cracking exposure for the game, Sam. And just a final point, looking forward to the next stages, whether that be a playoff final or after that, building towards next season and beyond. Looking forward to what the future brings at the club.
Yeah, I think it is exciting times. I mean, I obviously can't look past Sunday at the moment, and I struggle not to do that, because in my head I'm already looking at the final. And that's a thing as a coach you kind of have to do, because I believe in the girls, and I believe in what we've got. And I think that our game plan on Sunday, as long as we do those little rugby IQ things well, that, will be the name that people won't expect to be in the hat. But obviously, I'm already looking at next year. We're already looking at, I'm going to a sevens tournament on Saturday to look at recruitment for, next season. So little things like that, we're already kind of rolling the bus onto the next stop and looking at, what happens and how we grow. We're 3 times better a team than we were last year. Next year is, if we can improve again, then, being in game, sort of being 16-0 down to Cardiff, away in Cardiff at half time, and we were in that game, being at the Army and the Army having to put out a really full strength squad to beat us. We are something to fear. And I think Southern Rugby League, and especially Women's Southern Rugby League, is going to make a really big stamp in the time to come.
Well, Sam, a big thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to join us this week, and all the best on Sunday.
Thank you ever so much, mate. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.